As a veteran and someone who loves our military and this country, I find the kneeling behavior of the NFL players and owners during the playing of the national anthem to be repugnant, disrespectful, misguided, and I feel they dishonor our country and themselves. Now, this started with Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the playing of the national anthem, apparently protesting police brutality, race inequality. He put pigs on his socks with police hats on. Now nearly all the NFL players and owners kneel last Sunday. In England, the NFL players of the Baltimore Ravens and Jacksonville Jaguars took a knee during our national anthem, but stood during the playing of the British God Save the Queen. Alejandro Villanueva, you may have seen him from the Pittsburgh Steelers, came out of the dugout, stood for the national anthem, but was later 2 days shamed by his teammates and coaches into apologizing. This is a Bronze Star winner, a three-time service in Afghanistan, and he apologized rather than the Pittsburgh Steelers and the coaches apologizing. Our national anthem, our flag, represents the men and women who gave life and limb for our country. It reflects their sacrifice so that we can live in freedom, our national pride, and unity as a country. As a veteran, as a father, as an elected leader of many people who shared their outrage with me, I have several things I want to say. I have an unabashed love of this country. This country is great. It provides free education for every child through high school. It provides free meals in schools. Grit and God-given talent and ability, the sky's the limit. And we see that with those multi-million-dollar athletes. They've achieved their God-given abilities. Every Sunday we see it. But I too have grievances with this country. I don't see everything as being perfect. I disagree with giving Iran $150 billion when they're a sponsor of terrorism and they hate our guts. I disagree with the weakening of criminal laws, Prop 47 and 57. I disagree with people being on death row spending 20 to 25 years when they've committed heinous acts and they never get the death penalty. I disagree with gender-neutral bathrooms. I disagree with the taking down of our statues and eradicating our history. I disagree with the legalization of drugs in our country. There's 1 million abortions in our country every year. I hate that. And when you talk about racism, in the United States, black children are aborted at 3 times the rate of white children. Hispanic children are aborted at 1.5 times the rate. Whatever the intentions of the abortion industry, it's a racist institution. And I don't understand why those athletes are not taking a knee for those children. Our police officers, our men and women who defend us every day against criminals, murderers, rapists, are under attack every day and being shot. In Dallas, we had 5 police officers that were assassinated on the street. In Ferguson, Missouri, a police officer was falsely accused of killing someone with his hands up in the air saying, "Don't shoot." It was Michael Brown. It was a total lie. That officer lost his livelihood over a lie and false narrative. And in Baltimore, we had a district attorney standing on the steps calling for the guilty verdicts of 5 police officers in the Freddie Gray case, and all were found not guilty by juries. I disagree with all of this, and yet I stand for the flag and our national anthem each and every time. Now, these million-dollar, multi-million-dollar athletes, I think, are protesting racism in this country. As far as racism goes, we fought a civil war to end slavery, and white men died to free black men. Jim Crow laws ended in the 1960s with the passage of the Civil Rights Act, and it was signed by a white president. This country elected its first black president, Barack Obama, with the support of white men and women, twice. We've had a black Secretary of State, Attorney General, Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, the first black U.S. Senator, Tim Scott. We've had black CEOs and leaders in all walks of life in our country, and we celebrate their achievements. We've had people like Secretary of State Rice, Colin Powell, Dr. Ben Carson. We've had sports leaders that have transcended the sport and become leaders in our society. Jackie Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown. Are we perfect? No. But to deny the tremendous progress and triumphs of this country in terms of racial equality is to deny reality and to only promote a false narrative for a political agenda. Now, what's the facts? The data shows that 93% of black homicide victims are killed by other blacks. There were almost 6,000 blacks killed by other blacks in 2015. In contrast, there were 250 blacks killed by police gunfire last year, and that number decreased last year. In Chicago, a person is shot every 2 hours and 17 minutes, murdered every 12 hours and 21 minutes. According to the Chicago Tribune, by Labor Day weekend last year, just last year, there were 500 homicides in Chicago, 500. Nearly all were black men, shot to death in alleys and street corners by other black men, not police. According to Heather McDonald, who's written a book about it, she says a straight line can be drawn by family breakdown and youth violence. We have created a fatherless generation for a number of years now. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all children who show behavioral problems, fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes, and 85% of the youths in prison from fatherless homes. Fatherless boys and girls are twice as likely to drop out of high school, twice as likely to end up in jail, and 4 times more likely to need help for emotional or behavioral problems. So what should these multi-million-dollar athletes really be protesting and fighting to change? Well, I think crime, drugs, gangs, and a culture of victimization. Stop promoting the belief that if you're black, brown, or any person of color, if you're poor or any minority class, that you're an inherent victim in our society. Every person, regardless of color, gender, socioeconomic status, is equal under the law in this country and in the United States, and they can achieve success and realize the full potential of their God-given abilities. That is why people from all over the world want to come here. I suggest they promote hope and aspiration, not hate and victimization. They should also be encouraging respect for authority and police. If you're pulled over by the police, do what's requested. Be respectful. The interaction will end well for everyone, I can assure you. They should be encouraging taking advantage of opportunities for education, encouraging fathers to be responsible for their children and families. And they should be encouraging employment, not dependency on government. While I don't agree with what our president called these athletes, it's clear to me that they don't understand or appreciate the meaning of our national anthem and the sacrifice that so many veterans have made to give them the right to disrespect the flag, which they've done. I encourage them and the NFL owners to use their platforms, their considerable resources, their energies and ways to promote unity, respect, pride of our nation, and to stop promoting racial disharmony and attacking our police. Speak truth about the violence in our inner cities, the destruction of our families, the lack of responsibility of men of all color who father children and then abandon them. Only when we get away from phony political narratives and agendas and deal with the facts will we really begin to solve these problems. It's my prayer today, it's my prayer every day, that God continues to bless this country, which is truly the greatest nation on earth. Thank you, Council. Appreciate it.